But I will tell everybody that, like anything else in this world, there's a learning curve. You
Yeah.
got to be ready to, be on the straight and narrow with it.
You
And
got to get in and use it.
if you
That's
really
one thing.
want it,
Yeah.
yeah, if you really want to do it, you gotta get in and you gotta
Use it.
do
And it
things.
doesn't
So,
matter which software you're in, there's always going to be
yeah,
a learning curve if you
absolutely.
want to do it yourself. Now, if you want us to do it all for you and set the whole thing up, we
Mhm.
offer free websites, just so you guys know. Welcome to the Charcuterie Launch Lab podcast, where passion meets profit. If you've ever dreamed of turning your love for charcuterie, or food of any kind, into a thriving online business, well then you're in the right place. We're Andrea and Patty, the Grazing Biz Sisters. With over 60 years combined experience as a chef and digital marketer, we have walked in your shoes starting our own online businesses. We'll share all of our tips, advice, struggles, and best strategies to help you launch and grow your own online foodie business with ease. The Charcuterie Launch Lab is a space for all food creators and entrepreneurs just like you. Let's dive in and get your yummy business launched online, one board at a time. Hey, hey, hey! It's the Grazing Biz Sisters. We're back. For those of you who don't know, I'm Patty. That's Andrea. That way. I can always get all messed
I
up.
don't know which way I am when I'm, I don't know where I end up after we get done recording, so I don't point.
And the people who are listening don't know what the hell we're talking
And they don't know what we're doing, so whatever.
It could be poking up my nose for all they know. Anyway. All righty. Hey, everybody. We're back. We survived, and we are trying to do a few more recording. We're still dealing with juggling grandkids around until
It's
until
summer.
our
Yeah, it's a challenge.
kids go back to school. They got to go to preschool and stuff. Anyway.
Yeah.
So we're doing our grandmotherly duties, but we're back today. How are you? What's happening up there today? What's going on? Nothing?
Nothing. I mean, everybody knows I live in northern Arizona, and I guess I shouldn't complain because I saw on the news that it's like 100 friggin' degrees in Tampa,
Oh,
Florida. I cannot. So when I was a kid, Patty had already moved out. She was in college, but I moved to Clearwater, Florida with my parents, like when I was in 10th grade or 11th grade or whatever. It was so hot and humid there in the summer, and we were probably in the high 80s. I
yeah.
cannot even remotely imagine that place in 100.
Oh,
I just
humidity.
like I would just be like, I'm done. I'm out of here. I don't
Yeah.
know, move me to Antarctica because that would be awful.
I
So,
I love the ocean, but I don't
oh,
even,
me too.
it's, and we laugh about it being a dry heat in Arizona. At least where I'm at, it really kind of is. And
Hmm.
everybody who's listening will just probably not feel sorry for us when the humidity gets over 40, but when it's
Right.
110 and we're in monsoon season and it's
Yeah.
over 40, it can be very muggy down here for sure. I mean, it's kind of like
Yeah.
that. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah. So
Anyway, so that's
hence,
that's the only complaint that I have as of the day. I went outside to take the garbage out and I'm like, oh hell no.
I'm never
Sucks.
going in. At least you've been outside. I haven't been outside.
Well, yeah, she lives in the Phoenix area, so hell, yeah, that's a big hell no.
No, but
But
we
anyway,
bought the grandkids this bit 10 foot they're 10 foot size blow up pool, so they were having fun in that, and I wanted to get in it so bad. But as soon as we get in there, they're only 3 and like 1.5. So they're in there, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna run in and get my suit on. So I have the hubby watch the kids, and by the time I go out there, I want out. I'm cold. I'm like, okay, so I never got in. But I told Mike, I said, we're gonna put the pool up underneath our big umbrella because I had it under the cover, and then that was really funny because it was full of water, and it was maybe about a foot, but it was a lot of water for this thing. And then we didn't have you know how in the heat, if you blow up something like that, it starts to expand. So what
yeah.
happened was the sides started folding up, and then all of a sudden we were flooding our entire back patio. So yeah, it didn't pan out real well there for a while, but we got it
You
straightened
know,
out.
you just can't have anything
Can't
nice.
have
That's
anything nice. I know. Well,
the way
hence
it works.
this
I'm not
heat.
sure if that was nice, but I would still call it that because it was
No.
brand new, but
Yeah, it's
still.
brand new. Yeah, so I had to just drain it out, and then we had to deal with trying not to get it all over the patio, and we finally did get it working. Anyway, these poor folks don't need to hear this
Water
suck.
waste. Yeah, I know. We're
This
just boring you guys
suck.
with our lives. Anywho,
Well, hence we aren't doing any hot charcuterie gigs outside anymore. So we're waiting for the weather to cool off before we do any more outside gigs. What are we doing in the fall? We do have some things you are lining up, some wine tastings and other stuff in the
Yeah.
cool parts of
Hmm.
the world thing or of Arizona.
Hmm.
So that's good, right? We're doing something up
Yeah,
there.
yeah, yeah. We're working on a few gigs up here in northern Arizona because it does not get cool enough unless they're indoor events
Yeah.
down in Phoenix and Tucson. It's not cool enough down there until literally November.
Yeah.
So, but they do have some decent gigs that are in the evening, and so I've been kind of looking at those. For those that don't know, I do most of the booking of our stuff, and
Hmm.
so I'm kind of going back and forth about it. The market season, if you will, farmers market season, all that stuff here in Arizona is about to kick off. And we have a very short time frame for my area because then it starts getting cold. But in her area, it keeps going until I think they cut it off sometime in March when it
In
starts
March,
to get warmer
April.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
so
think the
it's a weird
Scottsdale.
juggle that we have to do.
Right. The Scottsdale Farmers Market doesn't really like it's in non-existent right now. It's too hot.
Right,
But
right.
they kick off in the fall and then they will be yeah, they definitely are there till at least early May, maybe even early May, because my
Hmm.
son's down there all the time. But anywho, so what were we going to talk about today? So we've had a lot of people asking us for help, and that's awesome because that's what we're here for. We're here for help. But it occurred to me that I don't know that we have our entire menu out there of all the stuff that we do. And so I thought today we will talk to you about how we can help you. But I think where this all stemmed from, just so you all know, is us setting up Andrea's business, our business,
Hmm.
basically. Now that I'm kind of helping doing the thing, what I can do in the charcuterie cart side of the business, she does a lot of her stuff out of our cottage. She can do stuff out of her kitchen, cottage type stuff out of her
Hmm.
kitchen. Um, in our state, for those of you who have not heard, that we can do perishable items. However, the cart is totally different than doing perishable items out of your kitchen. So that
Hmm.
there's a totally different law that kicks in. Obviously, it's part of your cottage law and things. If I was to create a charcuterie board here in Arizona, I could do it in the kitchen in my house, but I have to make sure it's wrapped. I have to make sure it's labeled. There's
Hmm.
all of those cottage law type rules that do kick in if you are a baker, if you've been a baker in other states or wherever you're at. I mean, you can do it here in Arizona. Anyway, so, but we've gotten so many questions, and how this kind of kicked off too is because we wrote a book, which we were telling you about last month or last podcast, and it is ready to for lack of a
Ready to
better
rock and
term,
roll.
rock and roll and launch.
Yeah.
So the book is called Charcuterie Profit Secrets, and it's about 75 pages of all of the things that you need to know as far as pricing and buying, and making sure that you're making a profit off of your boards.
Yeah.
So how this started out, and I started, as we were doing our research on this, I realized that, we're talking a lot in the book about various different things we had to do to figure out how to price things and how to get our business set up. Now, we don't get into too much of the business side on this particular book. We'll come out with another book later about that. But right now, what are most of our most popular podcasts, in fact, except for our very first podcast, which explained, if you haven't listened to our story how we ended up here, you might want to go back and listen to that. But the most popular podcasts that we have done have been based on pricing and
Hmm.
setting up your business for licensing and all the regulations. So we thought the book on profits and pricing and buying would be a really good idea to help you all. So that said, we're helping in that realm, but there's other ways that we can help. And like I said, it all stems from what we had to do to get our business set up to run properly so that we are kind of more on autopilot, right? So, when Andrea and I started talking about working together, for those of you who didn't hear that story, is that she was already selling things. Tell them a little bit about what you sell and what you were
Yeah,
doing.
so right. So I know we're going backwards a little bit, but for those that,
A lot of
it's been
people
a
didn't hear
while.
about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while. I don't even know when we started this. It seems like an eternity ago, but it really wasn't.
No, it wasn't.
But in any case,
We're on episode
we
19 now, but it's 7 months and we
we're
have
on 19. Holy
yeah, yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Wow.
So it's 7 months of the podcast, about 7 months. Yeah, we've
Yeah.
had, I feel like amazing,
Yeah, yeah,
stats for people
response has
listening,
been
and I
great.
love it. Great response. People are
This,
very
guys,
interested in it.
so just so everyone knows, this honestly is the funnest thing that we do. Of all, I
It
mean,
is.
we love helping people, but this one is like our chance to also catch up with each other,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
then we catch up with you guys. But anyways, cut that
yeah,
off because we
yeah.
go on forever. What happened was I was already had my website. I'm running a business. I decided when the perishable thing happened here in Arizona, not a huge baker, although I've become one in the past several months because
Yeah.
of the charcuterie cart. I've really, and then this morning I made fry bread for my family, and I'm like, why am I
Okay.
not making this for other people? But anyways,
Yeah.
um, I
Um,
I didn't have any way to like place the orders, get people's attention online. Yes, you could use Facebook, but Facebook to me is like scam book. It just is a nonsense, and it
oh,
does work to get customers, but there's just so many weirdos out there at this point, and they are not controlling it well enough as far as I'm concerned. So I'd rather
yeah,
have my page and have my page do all the work and send people where they need to go to a website that will be able people can order whatever they want and pay online and schedule online and do all that stuff, and so I'm
right.
not on the phone all day. And that was
Yeah.
I when I started to struggle with that is when I reached out to Patty. Obviously I talk to her all the time as my sister, but I said, hey, would the CRM do this?
Yeah.
And she was like, oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
So we just started working from there and
Yeah.
realized after doing our own research on other people doing charcuterie and or cottage businesses or some kind of, small business, even if they own a storefront or whatever it is they're doing, restaurant, catering, whatever, we realized that there were a million people out there that don't know how to do what we know how to do.
Yeah.
And
At least with
we
regard
want to
to
help.
selling your, like trying to automate,
Yeah.
actually, because I mean, in all the groups that I'm in, and you and I are in a lot of these groups, charcuterie groups, we're in cottage groups, we're in
Mhm.
local plates groups where people sell their pre-made
The meal
meals.
prep.
And again,
Mhm.
they can do that here in Arizona, so it's kind of cool that they can get away with that and get away with it. But yeah, who knows really?
It
Yeah,
is
so I
kind
feel
of
like they're
it
getting
is
away with
kind
a
of like
lot.
that, but
It's a
it's
little,
legal now.
it's definitely
It's
the
not
Wild
tamales on the
West.
corner. So,
Oh my gosh, I know. And I was just talking to my husband about how or maybe it was you, Andrea, because I can't remember who I talked to 10 minutes ago, but that they're selling, there's a woman, and it's 110 degrees out. There's a woman out in the desert where I live in the desert. So it's out there every week in selling her sourdough bread, and she
yeah,
sells out, and she just goes
yeah,
into so this is good for you guys to know, because it really doesn't matter what you're selling. She goes into the local Facebook group, which is local out here for where I
right.
live, and
Hmm.
she says, I'll be at the corner of blah 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 and blah blah blah, and she sets up a little table.
Hmm.
And we happen to be in the county where we live, because we are kind of in the boondocks in the North Scottsdale area. But
Yeah,
so she sets this table up, and she puts an umbrella up and sells her bread till it's gone.
yeah.
Same thing with honey. Like there's
Right.
a honey
It's
guy
it's
out here.
crazy. The honey guy that was, and then I saw a fish guy on your
Yeah,
corner,
there's a
which was
fish guy.
really random. I don't know. It was like, where the hell is that guy getting
He
fish? He
came.
was saying like he got Alaska halibut and all kinds of nutty
I
stuff. And I'm like,
know.
what in the world?
Yeah.
But reality is, people are looking for the items that are no longer processed. I am finding over and over again when I go to craft shows with or without my charcuterie or my flatbreads or whatever else I'm selling, because I do have all these other items that I sell that are actually not food related. I make earrings and I do all these other things. And so, but they're all food inspired, as I
Hmm.
call them. But anyways, what I do find is that people are really focused on getting away from our American processed foods.
Mm-hmm.
And so with that said, all of you need to like get on that bandwagon, follow up on how to do these things. And if you have any interest in this, there are many different avenues for you to take. And it doesn't necessarily have to be charcuterie. It can be other things.
Yeah,
Just check in your local state what they're going to allow you to do.
right.
You can make pies, you can make, I don't know, like in my case, I do have dry soup mixes. So there are a ton of different options. But the reality is, if you don't know how to set up that business, if you wanted to do this and quit your job first time, full time, which is exactly what I did,
Yeah.
you can do it. And it's not as hard and overwhelming as it looks. So, what we'd like to discuss today, what we did was we put all these things in the book that we prioritized as what you needed to get yourself going. And of course, we can always schedule strategy sessions and all these other things too. But we
Right.
also have a course. I mean, I could talk forever, all the things that we've come up with in the time frame that we started this podcast, where we realized so many people needed help. And
Exactly.
and
Right.
it's not just about baking sourdough or whatever, or making charcuterie trays. Your creativity is going to come across no matter what. But starting the business, if this is something you're serious about, is the hardest part. The easy and the fun part is doing all the creative
The
stuff.
creative stuff is the, yeah. I mean,
Right.
the
And that pays
reason,
off in the end by
right.
way of doing all these other things that we're going to talk about.
Right. And I think that the reason that you're listening to this podcast is probably because you're doing something along these lines, and it may not be charcuterie at all.
Yeah,
I
you
saw a
never know.
really cool, actually, I don't know if you consider it charcuterie, but I saw a great use of what I believed was a charcuterie cart. And they had actually, now this would still probably, I'm assuming this would still fall under like charcuterie type regulations, or
Food
having a
vending, you
cart,
mean?
food
Food
vending.
vending?
But anyway,
Yeah.
what I saw was they were making Caesar salad, but all they were doing were taking the leaves of the lettuce. They had a paintbrush and Caesar salad dressing. They were painting the leaves, like, the what is kind of the lettuce that you use for shark, or for that kind of
Romaine.
romaine. Okay, so they had the romaine leaves. They were individual, and they were painting the leaves, and the leaves were in the container, and then they had the things that you would put on that salad in there. But they painted like 3 leaves, and they put it in a tray, and then they threw in the croutons, and
Croton.
the
Croton.
croton, charcuterie. And they painted these leaves and put, I mean, I thought, oh my God, first I go, what are
Why
they
didn't you send
doing?
that to me? I just wanted to see what you're talking
I'll
about.
find it. I don't know where I
I would
saw
never
it.
do that because lettuce is impossible to keep like
Fresh.
cold.
Well, I
Uh,
mean, they had it in the tray. It
yeah,
looked like it might have been a restaurant that was doing it, and
could
they
have
were on a
been.
rolling cart, because
Right, right.
they didn't back up enough for me to see it. Anyway, the point that Andrew was making is that no matter what, like, find some use for what you're doing if you can sell other things. And like baked goods, like I saw
Yeah,
little cheesecakes with
right,
strawberries
right.
on them. And so there's so many things you can do that aren't necessarily like the legitimate, what we consider charcuterie with cheese and meats. You can do other
Mhm.
stuff. Bottom
Lots of
line
it.
is, though, when we started looking around, now Andrea came to me, but before Andrea came to me, she has another site. And when I started examining her site, I already had all this marketing stuff. It was stuff I was doing already, as you guys have known, from the real estate industry. It's what I've been doing for years and years and years. And real estate agents have to stay in front of their clients a long, long time, because somebody doesn't come online today and buy a charcuterie, it's and buy real estate from us overnight like they would ordering a
Yeah.
charcuterie board. So there's a lot of work involved with lead generation and turning a lead into a sale, because could take years. I mean, years. So that's how I ended up where I'm at, because I became a multi-million-dollar producer selling real estate because of my automations. And the automations, there would be no way. I mean, if you're going to spend money or any kind of time or energy lead generating, which we all need to be doing. You guys are doing it. You people are, if you're listening and you're selling, you are doing it one way or another if you're already selling. And it's probably just happening through you posting on social media.
Yeah. So for
Um,
those of us who
yeah,
don't know what lead generating is, and it took me years to figure that out, lead generation is when you gain customers. So if you're going on Facebook and you're saying, hey, I've got the sourdough and I'm going to be on the corner of First and Second Street, come down and see me at 10 a.m. and you
right.
sell out in 15 minutes, that is your lead generation.
Yeah,
So that is your customer base.
right.
Leads are customers
Yeah, your
for those that.
future, your prospects, your
Mhm.
prospect customers that you hope to turn into sales, right?
Right.
And so that's what we call it in most marketing venues, right?
Well, no, right.
And so we actually don't call our clients we call our people clients, not customers in the real estate world, which is kind of
Right, right. Well,
that.
we either call them in food and beverage, we call them customers, or we call them guests, one or the
Yes,
other.
yeah.
So, we're not Disney necessarily, but in Disneyland, that's what they do. They do call them, I think they're called guests. I don't
Be
know. But
my
anyways,
guest, be my guest.
yeah, something like that. But
Um,
everybody's got a different word for it, but they're all the same. It's
right.
people that
They're
want to buy
people.
your stuff.
Right.
So,
So our first step is always going to be how are we going to get our business, right? And so you might be starting your business thinking, oh, I want to do this, but where am I going to get my client base from? Where are we going to get them? Well, in today's world, thank God there's a zillion ways to do it. And yes,
mhm.
social media is very, very important to you if you are going to do this. If you're not on it, you should be, because it's going to be important if you want to run ads, if you want to, just go tell the world, you can do all that. And the whole world should know about what you're doing. And you shouldn't be, like we say, a secret agent in the real estate industry. You let everybody know what you're doing and they will start wanting to follow, which is very interesting because I didn't shift 100% out of my real estate marketing stuff. I still have a business that I do on it. It's slowed down, which is one of the reasons I've decided coming into this industry, which has been a great industry to go to, partly because Andrea knew so much about it, but it's just a different clientele of people. The mentality and just what you think about is so much more exciting right now for me, and I just
Mhm,
love it.
mhm.
But anyway, point is, we want to get business, and then from there, what we don't want to see you do is continue to try to it's hard to grow if you really want to make this full time. If it's a side gig, great, do it the way you're doing it if you're happy with it. But I would worry for you if you really wanted to grow this and make all the do this all through Facebook Messenger or IG DMs. I see
Making
that.
phone calls. The phone
Oh,
call thing, like it's painful. So
but
I just,
when you mean that, what do you mean by when you say
I
that?
mean, like, so no offense to all those people out there that I'm happy you all have websites, the ones that I have been looking at. They have
You've been
websites, but then they
researching
turn
websites, by the way,
right.
every
And
people's
so and
websites.
this is where it started with me. Like, I don't want to take all these damn phone calls all day long. So the reality is what most people are doing, just saying, most people, and no offense to them, good for you for even getting out there, but they're doing the request and order form. I
Yeah,
mean, no.
yeah,
So if it's something as simple as they just want a charcuterie board for 20, 50 people, small, medium, large, whatever it's going to be, or they want, 20 cups for an office party, whatever. That is something that can be produced without having to make phone calls and make the sales. You may have nice pictures. You have an order,
right.
like they just do a drop down. They say this is what they want. This is how many they need. This is the day I need it. This is the time I need it, and this is where it needs to go. And then
Yeah,
they pay.
they pay right
That
there.
it's just like anything else. Like if you were ordering something from Amazon, that's how you do it. Although you're not producing fresh food there, but you're just dropping down, you're doing da 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 all
Yeah,
these steps, and then you pay. And then the
right.
next thing you know, you get you know, in their email, in my case, when people order from me, they get an email saying, okay, you're all set to go. And your calendar keeps track of all of those. You're not overlapping
No,
because the calendar keeps track of it. Now,
yeah,
I will say there are a lot of people who have special things that they want. They want a charcuterie board with I don't know, something else on it or something different or a long grazing board. So grazing boards in my case are a request form.
Yeah.
But
And the
in the
cart.
case of any simple, so I've got small, medium, large, domestic and international flavors, and then so people can order quickly, just like, you can't even do that at Safeway for crying out loud. So you have to like
Oh,
go in there and fill out their little order form and hand it over to the deli and all that jazz. You can't, this is
yeah.
just infinitely easier process to avoid having to have all these extra employees that I know I don't want. And I don't want to make phone calls all day,
I think it's not even so much about the phone calls, but it is just juggling.
Yeah,
And now you got your hands in cheese and your people are calling you. And I mean, I don't know because I'm not in it like that every day, but I can't imagine if you were really trying to grow this and you're doing it kind of on your own,
yeah,
how you're doing that. And I just know from even just being at our cart event, it's just like you've got your hands in food. How are you taking
right. You're
phone
not.
calls at the
You're
same
not.
time?
Right.
How would it be? How great could it be if you could automate at least that part of your business? So if you're going to make, if you've got a preset menu that you know, and it doesn't need, and we've talked about this before, is I think people get overwhelmed with the idea of I got to have all these things on my menu. No, you don't. If you have three different sizes and you don't have pictures yet, don't worry about it. But because you can always get the pictures when you do finally get the orders, but you'll have just a close up of just something, you
Right.
can get anywhere out there, really,
Yeah.
Canva. But
Yeah.
anyway, point is, get people to come to your site more and more often. So if you are posting on, there is kind of a well-known person who that in the industry, met some of you have probably run across her, but she does a lot of posting out there and shows how to do things. But I went to her site recently and realized that her actual food site where she's selling things is also the same site that she uses to help promote courses or whatever it is. And I'm not going to comment on her course, but I mean, it doesn't go into it in depth as much as we do because what we're doing is really more focused on teaching you to do that if that's what you want. But we're finding from our interactions with the people in our group that 95% of you have already started selling one way or another. So we want to focus on you at every stage. So what we originally created was something to help people from the very start, but what we're realizing is that we need to break out the pieces of what we offer because people are at all different stages of this, all different stages. And you don't need to be selling charcuterie, by the way. You could sell anything you want. And if
Right.
you're into baking or you want to, start pickling or whatever you can do out of your own cottage in law, maybe you just like, you know what, I like charcuterie, but it's too much of a hassle in my state. I'd rather just go do this from home. And if your charcuterie or if your cottage law allows you to, why not?
Yeah.
What
Go
we're
make some
doing,
cookies for crying out loud.
what,
Whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
what we're teaching you here and everything, it can totally apply to all of that.
Hmm.
You can sell anything you want. You want to put some t-shirts on your website, which by the way, we're going to be doing. I just had, and my husband made the cart. We have our cart and now we're having people reaching out about the cart and whatever. I mean, you could sell a cart if you've made your own cart. Sell your cart, put it on your website. The great thing is you can, But point I'm making is, and then what Andrew's saying is like I think most people are making it hard on themselves. Now, here's what I know
Hmm.
from talking to people. I think there's a fear. The fear is, oh my God, I don't know enough about this. And even if I get someone to set it up for me, and I'm experiencing this with some of the people that we're helping out, that we have the ability to automate the orders, and they are fearful of doing it because it's new, right? And they don't know what to expect, despite the fact that I'm telling them, okay, don't worry, we're going to be here to hold your hand and make sure that it's working. So make sure that when someone orders, that it's working and that you're aware of it and that's the big key, So what I'm finding is people are like, I'm not quite ready to go there yet, but I'm going to tell you now, test it with like one or two of your products. If that's all you have cups and you have one size board, test it out, right? Try to get it so that it's online. And so what people will do is they will come to your site and they will go to a calendar. It would be the first thing they will do. They won't go to contact me first. They don't need to
Right.
for
They
what for
won't get the
this.
form that you have to fill out, and
Not
maybe
that.
I'll get back to you in 48
Yeah,
hours,
not at, yeah, exactly. Because that's another thing. The
Mhm.
time it's taking you to get back to the people, you might have lost the sale because they might have gone to somebody who did have this set up, right? Because they were
Yeah,
waiting to
yeah.
hear. And I don't know how long it's taking. I know in my world, I was just telling Andrea, she sent me a picture of somebody that wrote us, and I go, oh crap, that got buried in my text because we're getting so many texts coming in, people signing up for various things, and that's great. But then I saw it, and then I totally forgot about it. And if it's happening to me, it's probably happening to you if you want to get busy, right? So what we want to see happen is someone comes to your site for the one or two items. It doesn't need to be grazing boards. It doesn't need to be your cart. If you offer something that you absolutely feel you need to talk to them about, what I would say is go to the Bordery website. That is that it's a national chain that actually,
Mhm.
not, I don't want to say it's a chain, but it's a business that actually got picked up by the gal, the blonde woman on Shark Tank. I don't know if you saw that, but they had a charcuterie business and they were trying to ship it out. If for those of you who don't know, Bordery, just go there, look to see what they've done to set up automatic ordering, right? So that's a great example of what we would like to see you do. However, you don't need to have all the 10 zillion products they have on
Right.
there.
We're
Just
on a
put,
we're on a local level. What we're
yeah,
offering
totally
is,
local
yeah.
level for you. You don't need to be shipping, and you probably can't anyway. But what we're talking about is going, choosing what someone chooses what they want on your site. The next step they take is click a button and they go to a calendar. And the calendar then says, when do you want it? And you've already preset what your schedule is on there. When you're
Mhm.
willing to, how much you're willing to do. If you know you're going to be on vacation, if you know you're not going to be available, if you know you have a big wedding on that day or whatever, you block that time so that no one can book anything during that thing. So you don't run the risk of not having the time to do this. And then you're
Right.
notified, right? So then what happens is they schedule it, and then the next thing they go to is the payment link, and by then you've already said, oh, that size board that they want is $150, whatever. People pay right then. They pay right then.
Mhm.
So
There's
then
none of this deposit. I mean, of course, you can set it up however you want
call them
to,
if you want.
but
Yeah,
I don't
I
have
wouldn't.
that problem. If people want something, they just pay for it and then it's done. It's paid
Yeah,
for. The expectation is that you're going to follow up on your end, which you would do
yeah. Anyway,
naturally as a business owner.
you would
So,
do it anyway, right? And
so
so,
there's a lot of people out there hemming and hawing about, do I take this deposit and da 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 da, and
oh
then
God,
how do I get the money in the end? And I'm like, dude, you're making it so much more complicated.
yeah,
This is such a simple process. Now, again, we go back real quickly just to the fact that if somebody wants something special, like a 200
exactly,
person grazing table, that's a whole nother story. That's a catering gig.
right.
But we're talking about just regular boards, boxes, cups, whatever else you can come up with, skewers or whatever, easy things that can be just put on there, which is what I would say probably 70% of my people that order from me, that's what they want.
Yeah.
They just want the basic stuff, but they don't want to get it from Safeway, or they don't want to get it, no offense, Safeway. I just say Safeway because that's what I have, but they don't want to get it from
Burger.
Costco. They don't want to
Yeah,
get the pre-made thing that everyone else has.
yeah,
The reality is what I offer, I'd never make the same board twice. So it doesn't, the same items might be
exactly.
on it,
It
but
might
for
be a little
whatever
different.
reason, I get, I don't know, this is how I feel today. I'm going to put more roses, more salami roses, and I'm going to do this, or I'm
Mm.
going to do ribbons.
But
They
you
don't
want to
look
have some
exactly the same.
consistency. Yeah, but you
Yeah,
still want to
you
have
want
some
to have the product
consistency.
be consistent,
Yeah.
but the board itself, unless they request something special with special decorations for birthday or whatever, that's different. But the reality is they're more excited about getting something that is fresh that's creative, that
Yeah.
is just, they're
Different.
not going to, the same person, the neighbor didn't order the same exact thing. It got something different, it's okay to be different. It's
Right.
okay.
I
And
think
people
about those pre-made
like that.
charcuterie trays that you can buy at like Costco or even at the
Yeah.
grocery at
And they
Safeway.
rip off the plastic and here you go. Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
it's rubbery and yuck, yuck.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Don't
I
like it
know.
either.
But I mean,
So,
I guess, yeah, I think there's the point that we're just really trying to hit home is like make your life easier and
right.
don't be fearful of it because even if it's not us helping you, which I think honestly it should be us helping you because this is exactly what we do. This is exactly what I
Yeah.
focus on. It's exactly what I want to see everyone do. And the reason I stepped into this, niche because I felt it was needed from what I could see out
Yeah.
there. And I just feel like if you really want to grow this, that you're just taking the hard route by trying to do it all through, Facebook and oh, send me a text,
Right.
and I'll
Right.
call you and then we'll figure it out. And then you might be working on your hard
And
calendar.
that's
Now,
the other crazy thing that I see. Again, no offense, I'm glad you all are doing business, but the number of people that I see go, send me a text here and I'll deliver it. Like that's frightening to me because what if you get there and then they don't pay or,
oh
whatever.
yeah,
This way you're getting prepaid. You get the money right out the chute so you can go run and get the stuff you need.
great. Like I said, the menu and the offer planning part, which you need to get right figured out if you haven't already got that done. Some of you are past that. Great, no problem. You don't need it. Anything that we can do that is kind of related to what we put in the book, which is pricing and profitability strategies, which is helping you source and buy your products. How much do you need for the kind of events or the kind of boards or the kind of carts or whatever it is you're offering, the cups?
Mhm.
How do you price all of that, right? So that's strategies we can help you with. Obviously, we can help you with the websites and what I call landing pages, which I created in our system if you want, just because you're going to only do weddings. Maybe that's all you're going to do. Maybe you're only going to do carts. We have websites that are set up specifically for different holidays, different events, and a specific charcuterie cart website, not just charcuterie in general. But if
Right,
you're
right.
only doing a cart, you have an option to have a website. Now, if you already have a website and you love your website, we can help you with the ordering side of this, where the all of the follow-up part that goes along with it, calendaring. We can embed things onto your site. We're not asking you to dump your site. If you don't want it, don't dump it. Can we give you advice? Absolutely. Will we? If you ask, damn straight we will, because we're sure that if you're listening this far into this, that you probably are dealing with these issues
Hmm.
that you'd like to get. How cool would it be to automate some of this so that the orders are coming in automatically? I mean, I could see this whether this is a side gig or a full-time gig for you. Like, because your side gig, literally, I'm going to tell you, if your side gig could seriously turn into a full-time gig if you had this down, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
If you came up with that, if you have the processes and you understand how they work and
right,
you just stay consistent with it and
right.
it's but I will tell everybody that like anything else in this world, there's a learning curve. You
Yeah.
got to be ready to, be on the straight and narrow with it.
You
And
got to get in and use it.
if you
That's
really
one
want
thing.
it,
Yeah.
yeah, if you really want to do it, you got to get in and you got to
Use it.
do
And it
things.
doesn't matter
So,
which software you're in, there's always going to be
yeah,
a learning curve if you
absolutely.
want to do it yourself. Now, if you want us to do it all for you and set the whole thing up, we
We will.
offer free websites, just so you guys know. So, and we've talked about it a few times, but we're really going to be hitting that home. You want a free website, we'll help you get that site up and running and we'll build it for you for free. We have templates that you can move into and do them yourself, but we'll build your site for you for free. So depending on what you need, what you want, where you're at in your technology, level. I always ask that of real estate agents. I would say on a scale of 1 to 10, how technically savvy do you feel like you
Right.
are? 1 being I don't even know what a mouse is,
Yeah.
and 10 being I can, create my own website. Great. I just need to know where you're at in there. And wherever you're at in there, we can make sure and plug in something into your existing system and make it work for you, whether you need it built, done for you fully, or you want to kind of do it with you, we want us to do it with you. I've got a number of people that we're working with that we're doing with them. So, we can do everything from, nuts to bolts. Now, what happens then when the ordering happens, we need to automate that follow up so that texts go out. If you've ever got anything from us, which many of you are listening have gotten some of our free resources, all of that's on automation. So, including there are times, and I don't have a lot of posts out there right now, but you might have gone to my social media and you might have seen this before. But if you go to social media, I can actually create a thing that says, hey, download or learn more about our charcuterie deals, comment cheese. And when you comment cheese, our system will automatically respond. And this could be in Facebook or Instagram. And it will automatically respond to you. You might have already been subject to something like that. If you've done this in the past, you might have seen somebody offer something to you that said comment cheese or comment anything. And whatever you comment, automatically and quickly, you're getting a response back. Well, that's all automation. I can set all that up. We have that all in our system. And we can set it up for you, whether or not you need a site from us or not, right? So social media campaigns is so important to do. And the other cool part is that, at least in our system, we have a whole planner that you can have all of your templates already built. We've already got all the templates in here. You can just do quick edits to them if you want, because we give people templates for that. Or you can take the ones that are that we've already got in here pre-built and just post them out there and put them on the calendar to start posting in advance for yourself, and it runs automatically. And you don't even have to go in there manually to do that. You would take off so fast, so fast if you start posting pictures. The great thing about charcuterie, or any kind of anything people cook, is
Any
that
food.
any
Yeah.
food, I don't care what it is the best thing to promote. It's so
Hmm.
dry promoting templates for emails that I do for real estate. It's really dry. But boy, you post a picture of a charcuterie board or anything along those lines. What was really interesting is this week we've been taking our podcast pieces, like little sections out of it, and making reels, which is just short little videos. And I had my virtual assistant. I said to him, "Hey, she sends me this like minute video of Andrea talking about something. I don't know what it was, pricing, I think it was.
And some of
Anyway,
them were old. That was an older
older
reel too,
one.
because I looked at it going, what? It's so
He took
anyway.
it off. He took it off of our podcast, and he just took a section out of it, right? And at my instruction, I said, take it out. And then, so we did that. So we did a number of those. For those of you who might have seen them. But then I said to him this week, I said, hey, do me a favor. Oh, it was about cheese. Can you freeze cheese? That's what it was. And so I said to him, do me a favor and see if you could take the background out of Andrew's blur back there and put a video back there on cheese. And he just sent me a note. It's only been out there for a couple of days, and we've already got almost 700 views on this little short reel. And the difference between this, blurry background that you see Andrew's in front of right now, which is actually her kitchen, and this video that we put behind it made a massive difference in the scroll stopping.
Uh-huh.
I keep telling my VA, scroll stop it, scroll stop, scroll stop, scroll stop. That's what we want, and we can show you how to do that. How cool would it be if you could put your own video back of your boards behind you and get people stop, and you're just going to say, hey, we got a sale today, whatever it is, or whatever. Hey, we've got Labor Day coming up. We got a Labor Day board, right? You could do
Yeah.
this literally today and you would have so much business because I'm sure it looks beautiful, your boards, right? So we want to automate all that for you, though, to help you. We can help you with all of that. And again, no matter where you're at in this journey, we just want to make sure we got it all figured out from beginning to end. We have all the tools if you need the software. That's a given.
Yeah,
But
so far with the number of things that people have asked, between the two of us, I don't think we've been stumped.
mm-mm.
Now we're probably going to get somebody ask us something really off the wall, and it'll be like, okay, fine, we've been stumped. But
Yeah.
no, there has not been. And I'm not just, saying that to people to be like bragging, but the reality is between the two of us and what we both do and have been doing in our history, we have been able to answer every question
Right.
confidently in some form or another. And I feel very good about the answers that we've given. I don't even question anything anymore.
Well, and I
So,
think, but I also think that, everybody's going to do their business a little different.
for
And
sure.
even though we're saying, like Andrew said, great, if you want to have
Do
people
whatever you
keep,
want.
do what you want.
Yeah.
But if you want to grow this, there's just going to be no way that you're going to be able to grow it and continue to message people and text them and say, and deliver
Right.
5 cups to someone on the other side of town. It's just
Right. That's just not
does not
financially
make
feasible to
it's
do
not
that.
right if you want to grow.
So,
And that all comes down to what we talk about in the book as far as creating profit, because you're actually not making a lot of profit if you're only doing a order for 5 cups, and then you're schlepping across town to deliver them to people. I mean, are you even adding up the gas to make sure that that's making sense for you? And then when you get over there, have to chase the person down to get paid.
to
I
get
don't
paid,
know.
I think that's the part that I
you
think a
know
lot of people don't understand is the paying part. There's a lot of people out there disgruntled because somebody will order something and then they don't pay,
Right.
and then they go to deliver it, or they say, I'm going
Come
to
to my
pick it
house
up.
and leave it on the porch or
Yeah,
whatever.
I'm going to pick it up on such and such day, and then they don't
And
show
show
up.
up. Yeah.
I mean, I hear that over and over and over again. The reality is at the end of the day, when you're running a food business, you don't want that to
Oh my
happen.
gosh. Oh my
So
gosh. Yeah.
I feel for those people.
Yeah.
And I understand also that you have to start small, especially if you don't, this is like a side gig and you're only doing it on the weekends for fun, or maybe just doing it for friends, which is usually how it starts. They're
Starts.
doing it for friends
Yeah.
and family. I get that. Totally understand that. You do want to start small and make
Yeah.
sure something that
But
you really love to do and that you can get behind it 100%. And then
right.
once you get to that point, then you're just like, I just want to do this and I don't want to do anything else.
Well, there's one thing about starting small, but how about we start smart? I
Right.
mean, if this is,
And right.
if you're brand new at this, you don't have to get into bad habits. And I'll tell you, in the real
Right.
estate industry, we got a lot of agents who had bad habits and trying to get them out of it. And that is related to their automations, right? They would
Right.
call me up and say, I'm so embarrassed. I'm getting all these leads. I'm paying for this company to buy leads, and then I had to stop them because I didn't have any way to get stuff set up to stay in front of my people, and I ended
Mhm.
up losing money over it. And so I can only encourage, it doesn't matter what you're selling. It seriously doesn't. If you're going to spend any time, even 2 seconds, taking a picture and putting it on Facebook, that's time. And
Yeah.
if you're going to get people to respond to you and you can't respond back to them fast enough and you've lost the business over it, and hopefully you're not, because maybe you're the only one in town who's doing this, which if that's the case, gosh, maybe you don't need us. I don't know. But I just think there's going to be a better way. And if you really, really, really want to do this right, then start thinking about how you can do this right. And another thing is AI. And part of the book offer is we're going to give you a chance to latch on to a bunch of AI prompts that I created that are custom just for the charcuterie business, that will help you in many ways, and it's really inexpensive. You can get like six of our prompts cheap. I'm not going to say a price because later on down the road the price might change, but right now they're really cheap and they're going to help you. And if you've never done AI before, don't worry, because I don't want you to be afraid of that, because we're here to help you with that.
Right.
It's not going away, friends.
I
So
know I eased into AI, however
yeah.
long ago, and it scared the bejesus out of me. And
Yeah.
now it's like, I don't
Yeah.
even know, like, how did I live
I
without it?
know.
Like,
Uh,
seriously, how did I get?
I have no
It's
idea.
nutty.
We got
But
latched on really
you spend,
fast.
and it sucks in a way because you're not using your brain power as much, but
Yeah.
You still do because you have to get the right prompts in there. And that's
Yeah.
where Patty comes in.
Yeah.
We've done a lot of practice with it, and she's way better at it than I am. And once you get the right prompts in there, you can get the right answers, and
Yeah.
it won't give you all this crazy nonsense because it can also go the entirely wrong way if you
Right.
don't get it right.
Well,
So,
yeah, and you got to make
but
sure you're
there's no reason
reading.
to be scared of it at all. No
No.
reason, peeps.
Well,
Not, don't be
not
scared.
not right now. I mean, unless the world
Yeah.
gets taken over by it, but I guess a whole nother that'll be like the pandemic,
Yeah, let's not go there.
Let's not go there. Yikes. But anyway, yeah. So I mean, if you're not doing any of that, we're here to help with that part too, and we offer up
Yeah.
help on that if you want to do it and try to figure out how you can use it best for your business. And you should absolutely you save yourself a ton of time and you might as well, right? If you can. But I do encourage you, if you are using it, to just be sure that you're reading everything because it's not always right. And
Yeah.
maybe it doesn't fit your personality. You can go in and tell it how to respond back to you, but it also may not be telling the story that you want to tell. And if you are writing, or maybe you're blogging, or maybe you're creating your boards or whatever, some of the numbers that show up on there may not be right. And so that's why the
Yeah.
customized prompts, instead of like I created all these prompts for all various things. And one of them is, I want to bring this up because we haven't really discussed about this, business planning. Because if you're
Right.
really going to start this, I have a whole prompt that is set up specifically for charcuterie interest business planning, so that it will help you build your business so that you are going to be ahead of the game financially and the things you have to think about. And if you ever want to go get a loan or something like that to help grow your business too,
You need that.
you need that, right?
Mm.
So it's just another side thing to think about. But yeah, there's just so much. There's so much that you could do. But that said, everything that we've discussed, you don't have to do any of it. You could do a little of it. You could do just that part of it. Whatever. If it's something that you're really interested in wanting to make your business better, how we focus is, what are your challenges? What is challenging you most? And that's what you focus on first, because if you
Yeah.
want to get it launched, or maybe you've already done it, but you're dealing with some things that are bothering you, there's a solution most likely for it, right? Unless
Mhm.
you're having marital problems or something, I can't help you there.
We
But
can't help
anyways,
you
and I
there.
can only say that because I've had them in my.
I don't. But yeah, well, luckily I don't
But
have that
you
problem
don't have it
anymore. But
anymore, yeah. No, I'm
still,
not talking about my
it,
current husband,
yeah.
but
But I
well,
will
maybe.
say, I want to go back really quick before, because I know we're going to start winding down. I want to go back really quick to the book, only because the book was something that we've been working on. It seems like for a really long time now, and I don't know how long it's
Feels
been.
like
But
it. Yeah.
anyways, I last week when I was in Sedona spent some time really going through the book, fine tuning it, making sure there were, simple things like no spelling problems and whatever, grammar problems, but also just making sure that everything that we wanted to say that was uh, about the subject was in there. And I got to tell you, it's awesome. It's
Yeah.
awesome. I'm not
It's
going to lie about something that, yes, we both created it, and yes, we both think it's awesome, but it's freaking
It's
awesome.
full of stuff. It's
It's
not,
so
it's
cool.
full of really in-depth
Right.
tables,
And I'm not making this
s-
up. I am not.
sam
It's really just
Well, we put a lot of
crazy.
thought into it, and
We
and
did.
honestly, I got to say, our listeners and the people in our group have helped with it,
They
because
drove it.
yeah,
Hmm.
we kind of like really read into a lot of their challenges, and a lot of your challenges that we've heard from many of you, and try to zero in on that. And I keep kind of dangling the little, I want to say the cherry, but whatever. I'm dangling the little
The
tip
little
that
dog snack
the
or
little
whatever.
dog
The
snack. I keep
charcuterie
telling you that
pros.
our charcuterie cart calculator is coming. I promise. And but
Yeah, yeah.
we really want to make sure
We've
that
been tuning
it's,
that one.
yeah,
We know that that's a big one too, because there are so many charcuterie cart people out there now, and they are all seemingly following us. And that's the first thing that comes out of their mouths. And it's not an easy one. That is not an easy one. I've been doing a food calculation for 30 years, and this is honestly one of the toughest ones that
yeah,
I've had to kind of narrow
yeah.
down. So,
But
we
what we
just don't want
do,
to send it out there and have it be all
Right.
weird.
And well, we want to make sure it works for most of you because I've talked to a bunch of you about it. I've sent a
Yeah.
couple of versions out to our group and said, hey, test this out and tell me what you think. But some of you want this and some of you want this and
Right.
some of
It's
you
never going to be, yeah.
yeah. And so it's really dependent on too on where you're at in the process because if you know how much you need to put into these things, this type calculator might work better than somebody who's brand new at doing this. So that's been where my challenge is as I'm trying to kind of figure out the best way to set it up. Bottom line is that we did go into some in-depth detail. There's a whole chapter on pricing and sourcing out your charcuterie cart in the book. So I had it as a little section in there originally, and then I talked to Andrew and said, I think we really need to make a whole paragraph or a whole chapter about it because it is its own beast. It kind of is in a good way, but we want to see you for those of you because it is so popular. For those of you who have started doing that, it's definitely different. And
Yeah.
I mean, is it drastically different? No, but it's different than just, hey, I need to put, this much cheese on this board for these people and how much is that going to cost? So it's a little different depending on how you run your event. And so that's going to be kind of interesting. It's kind of like your own little party is what you're offering, right? And before we go, I did want to bring up, I did post something in our group this week because it came up in another group about you guys tap into the real estate industry. I keep bringing this up, but you got to go tap into the real estate industry. I highly recommend it. Go and offer up to do some host or I guess or offer up to bring in a board to a class. Charcuterie, the agents have to go through
Yeah.
continuing education, and there are a lot of lenders, title companies, and that will will do classes. Even the local class, I would say maybe even the local schools, the local real estate schools, will let you come in and sponsor was the word I was looking for. Sponsor a class, bring in
They bring
a
in
board,
food and
bring in
drink.
some food. And also what I would do is raffle off one of your boards. You don't have to bring the board, but you could raffle it off and then you grab everybody's cards. This is another use for your CRM because they are your clients. They're going to be your future business. And if you just had a handful of really good agents that do a lot of sales, you can plan to be there for open houses if that's what they want. Or I'm better, I personally like the closing gift idea because they're always looking for
I
some
love
kind of
that. And you know what
closing.
that is one of the best ways to get out there is to
Yeah,
get hooked up with the real estate. I hooked up with the one that sold me
yeah,
my property, and she uses me just to do the closing gift
gift
thing when
stuff.
she
Yeah,
yeah, so I go and I deliver it to the house
yeah.
that and the people aren't even in there when I do it. I just
It's
stick it
real
in their
easy. Yeah, just
She's
drop it
got a
off.
little card that she leaves in the house, and I just go drop it off, and that's it.
Yeah,
And that came about obviously by the fact that she sold my house to me, and I said, "Hey, I'm doing this," and blah blah blah. And my daughter is also a title
title
agent,
rep. Yeah,
you know, title rep, and so they do the real estate
right,
classes in their building. But
right,
anyways, that is really a great way
right.
to get
You want
out
more
there.
ideas like
It's
that?
a
I
weird
gotta,
thing. It's a
yeah,
weird thing, and you wouldn't think about it,
no.
but it's an easy one.
It's real easy
Everybody
because
knows a real estate agent,
and
you
the
know.
word's going to get out so fast because you're so different and it's not like people are closing houses with the same people over and over and over again like it would be if they're an
Right,
investor, but that's different. You're not going to be giving your
right.
investor these kind of gifts if you're just as because I am an agent. I just know I would bring something different every time. Well, I would do the same gift. I mean, take that back. It would be the same gift for everybody, but they didn't know because
Right,
this is
right,
the
and
first time they ever saw it, right? Whatever they get.
right.
Now, I didn't give charcuterie boards back then. I wish I had, and nobody knew about it when I was doing really heavy real estate. I actually changed locks instead. I would pay for a locksmith to come and change locks up to a certain number of doors, which was kind of nice, but at the same time, it was kind of boring, right?
It's like,
You
yeah, it's
have,
not that's
yeah, try.
yeah.
Anyway, on that note,
Yeah.
anyway,
Anyway, we don't want to bore you guys,
yeah,
but
but
now
so
you
let's
guys
get
know where
back
we
to if you
stand with
want to
what
get the
we have.
book right now, our book is at grazingbiz.com/profit secrets Brazenbiz.com profit / profit secrets. We'll put a link in. We're
The
going to put the
notes
link
are
in the
the link
notes.
is in the notes.
Yeah. And so we hope you latch onto the book. It's very, 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 very cheap. We are charging for it because it is a lot of information, but it's less than
It took us a long
$10.
time. Right. It took us a long
So
time to put it together, but
yeah,
it's
it's
definitely worth the
chock
small
full
price. It's
of the
chock full.
grazing biz
I mean, I just
brains.
was like, dang, we did a good
Yeah.
job.
We did. You did. And I have wrist pain. For those of you who might not see me, I
Yeah,
usually
she
have
does
this
most
thing.
of the typing and stuff. I don't do
Yeah,
all that
I,
stuff.
I always have this on. Everyone goes, "What's wrong with your wrist?" Well, I'm on my computer too much,
She's
but
a
that's,
mess.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a mess. But anyway, it's okay. I like it. I'm sitting in my little, when you're not here, this is how I sit in my office. I got my little hat on in the dark and I'm just sitting here on my computer all day, but that's what I
What a
do.
loser.
Uh, well, I got to do something with this hair because it's always a mess.
I was looking at it, like my hair is still pretty dark compared to yours. So
I know, and I
it's
was
just
totally
another
white when I
secret.
was your age. Yeah, yeah, I know
And
what's
I
up.
don't do anything with my hair. I don't color it. I don't do anything. I used to, but
Neither
I
do
don't do
I.
any of that. I'm done with it.
All
So
right,
yeah,
friends. Well,
surprise.
we're so happy you're here. You know that we love you all, and we'd love for you to share our
We're
podcast
glad
with
you're
everybody
enjoying
else.
it. Yeah,
Yeah, we're getting so many great feedback. I just happened to notice we had like 600 people download it over the last week. So I'm
that's
just like,
crazy.
what? That's cool. Anyway, all right, friends. Well, we will see you next time. Sista's got babysitting duties all week again, so
Yeah,
we
yeah, busy
probably
week.
we'll get it. We'll try to get on as soon as we can. Maybe Friday. We'll see what happens. So, all
All
right.
right.
Have a good one. Good night, Sista.
Bye.
See you later. Bye.
Bye.